The bald man. Julia discovers her ex-lover Frank in the attic, and by the looks of him, he is famished. He's barely even a him at this point, just a twitching, bloody pile of sinew and bone. He asks Julia to fetch him a snack, and no, he did not mean pizza. Julia, being the dutiful hostess, goes shopping at the nearest local bar, a place so shady that even Patrick Bateman wouldn't visit. Tonight's special for Dear Frank, a single serving of an unsuspecting man in a suit who thinks he's about to get lucky. There's a first time for everything, Julia says as she lures him to her house. The man starts making advances on her, and you can see she's visibly uncomfortable. I mean, you would be too if a bald man with raging alcoholic breath was trying to smother your face.
You couldn't change your mind, are you?
Julia invites him to the least romantic room of the house. You guessed it, the attic. The man at first looks skeptical. Who wouldn't? But there's no stopping a man when he starts thinking from between his legs rather than his brain.
First time for everything, eh?
Instead, Julia grabs a hammer and gives him the other kind of banging, the kind he definitely didn't have in mind. We see Julia leave the room as Frank comes out of the shadows to claim his happy meal, leaving nothing but a dried-up husk of what was, moments ago, a man expecting to get laid. Frank Cotton. After a successful night of family time which included brother killing and girlfriend stabbing, Frank corners Kirsty in the attic. He's wearing her dad's skin like a poorly tailored suit, a fashion choice so bad it would make the big bad wolf blush. He raises his knife, but he doesn't know one tiny detail. His niece had made a deal with the real final boss. As he lunges at her with the knife, the windows glow. Frank yells, "What the hell is that?" "It's hell, Frank." Literally. In walks Pinhead and the gang here to collect on an overdue customer. Pinhead tells Kirsty, "This isn't for your eyes." What a thoughtful guy. And she wisely bolts. Frank tries to stab her but runs into a small inconvenience in the shape of chains and hooks. Think BDSM but with way more bondage and zero pleasure. The Cenobites are fishing for souls and it looks like Frank just got caught, hook, line, and sinker. The hooks pull tight, stretching his, well, Larry's face like grotesque taffy. In a final moment of pure, agonized pleasure, he gasps, "Jesus wept." And with that, the Cenobites give one last yank. Frank explodes, redecorating the attic in a chunky shower of gore.
Jesus.
Mr. Browning. Mr. Browning was a patient at the Channard Institute. Yes, the very same one Kirsty was in, who was covered with bugs and maggots in his imagination. Though, to be fair, the way he looked and probably smelt, his imagination wasn't far off from reality. His very caring Dr. Channard takes him to his house for some exposure therapy. Dr. Channard brings him to the room with the bloody mattress. That thing looked straight out of a Freddy Krueger nightmare. If the blood wasn't enough to make you throw up, the mattress was also a doorway to hell, just waiting for some room service. We see poor Browning already fighting for his life, fending off invisible bugs with his bare hands. Channard's prescription for this? Not insecticide, unfortunately, but a straight razor. He hands the razor to the terrified Browning, who is now really bugging out. Convinced the flies are getting him, he starts defending himself. He goes to town on his own body, trying to cut the imaginary bugs off his skin. It's the most counterproductive bug spray of all time. Browning is, of course, bleeding everywhere. And that blood is soaking right into that very thirsty mattress. He's not killing flies, he's just marinating the portal. After a few seconds of this self-butchery, he collapses, and out comes a very real, very skinless female hand belonging to our dear Julia. The best way to describe this next part is Wrong Turn Met the Vampire Diaries. Julia latches onto Browning's corpse and starts feeding. Is she eating his soul or sucking his blood? Guess we'll never know. Dr. Channard. Dr. Channard had spent his entire life searching for hell. Talk about an inglorious purpose. And with the help of Julia, he was finally able to meet Leviathan, the giant floating diamond, god of hell. Despite being awestruck in the presence of Leviathan, Dr. Channard was having second thoughts and was considering chickening out. Guys, if you can't walk the walk, then don't talk the talk, and never mess with anything related to hell. He thought he was here on his own will, but boy was he wrong. It wanted souls, so I brought you here, says Julia as she shoves him in a torture box straight out of John Kramer's Wet Dream.
And I brought you.
Channard is held together by a mix of very unsanitary-looking needles, pumping some questionable fluids into his bloodstream. OSHA would not approve. At the same time, his face is engraved by wires. Think of it as the most extreme, demonic facial of all time. But the spa treatment isn't over. Suddenly, a tentacle with pincers is rammed right in his mouth. Talk about an invasive procedure, as he's slowly pulled down into hell. You would think this is probably the end for him, but apparently Leviathan liked him so much, Channard was turned into a super Cenobite, but his success was short-lived. Leviathan realized the brain surgeon wasn't the right choice to be his pawn, and decided to do a brain surgery of his own as we see Channard's head being ripped apart from his body. Talk about a bad first day at work. The DJ Pinhead has just arrived at the Boiler Room, the hottest 90s nightclub in town, and he's decided the party sucks. The dance floor is packed, and the DJ is busy spinning what he probably thinks are some killer tracks, totally oblivious to the new management that just walked in. Pinhead calmly looks over the crowd and, like a maestro about to conduct, simply asks,
"Shall we begin?"
The answer is yes. The entire club erupts into pure, frantic panic. Everyone starts screaming and running for their lives. Amid the chaos, Pinhead, deciding the vibe needs a serious change, turns his attention to the DJ booth. Maybe he really, really hates 90s techno. He raises his hand not to raise the roof, but to point right at the DJ's prized CD collection. Suddenly, his entire collection of CDs fly out of their sleeves. Pinhead launches them, one by one, like they're some razor-sharp shurikens. These aren't your old, useless AOL coasters. They slice directly into the DJ's flesh. We see several embed themselves deep into his face, his eyes, and his skull, pinning him to the wall of his own booth. It looks like Pinhead is in fact not a huge fan of the party culture. And why would he be? He is a priest after all. The High Priest of Hell, but a priest nonetheless. John Merchant. John Merchant meets his unlucky demise because he refused to comply with Pinhead's very reasonable demand of keeping the gateway to hell open for eternity. Not even Walmart is open 24/7, Pinhead. Come on, dude, be reasonable. Pinhead, like all teenage girls, didn't take this rejection too kindly and was tired of playing this 200-year-long cat-and-mouse game with the Merchant family.
No more games.
With a quick nod, a single hooked chain appears. It shoots straight into John's throat and, like a deadly boomerang, it returns just as fast, ripping John's head clean off. Pinhead lets out a delighted, hearty laugh like he just cracked open a piñata. It's a brutal end to the negotiation. John's headless body slumps to the floor, leaving his severed head to roll right past the blueprints for his failed project. Sandy. Sandy's death is a vital warning. Never sleep with strangers you meet at the club. It all starts when Sandy, thinking she's the main character, accepts a single rose and a cheesy invitation from the club's owner, J.P. Monroe. She didn't realize that for J.P. the rose wasn't romantic, it was just currency to seduce his next victim. She goes back to his bachelor pad, which is decorated with the biggest red flag in interior design history, a giant, screaming, demonic-looking sculpture. After a passionate night, Sandy is faced with the harsh, cold reality of the one-night stand. JP, having gotten what he wanted, callously dismisses her. Talk about post-nut clarity. Sandy, after realizing JP had zero interest in her after sex, is distraught and full of regret. But that wasn't going to bother JP. After all, the stud that he was, getting girls was never difficult for him.
Tomorrow, I'll give one to somebody else. Give me back my shirt and get the out of my life.
As she gets dressed, full of shame, she makes one fatal mistake. She stands too close to JP's prized art installation. The Pillar of Souls, sensing her experience, decides it's breakfast time. Suddenly, hooked chains shoot out of the sculpture, snagging her from every direction. The chains don't just pull her in, they flay her alive, ripping her skin clean off in one wet, gruesome peel. The now screaming, skinless Sandy is violently sucked into the sculpture, becoming a high-protein snack for Pinhead. Parker. Parker was an unfortunate space cop who just won the universe's worst lottery, being cornered by Pinhead. Pinhead, who has just finished playing with a robot, gestures to the smoking pile of circuits.
The remnants of a most unsatisfying victim.
Looking like a disappointed food critic. All circuits and no screams, terribly boring. He then turns his gaze to Parker, seeing a much better canvas.
You're here to change all that.
Before Parker can object, the chains fly. 4 hooks shoot out and embed themselves perfectly around the edges of Parker's face. Pinhead, who clearly fancies himself a demonic esthetician, gives a sharp tug. The chains pull taut, and Parker's entire face is flayed clean off his skull in one wet, tearing sheet. It's Pinhead's signature peel-off mask. He just loves a good exfoliation. And just to make sure the treatment is complete, a final fifth hook shoots out and sinks deep into the center of Parker's now skinless skull, ending his suffering. Julia. You know what they say about karma? It's a real bitch. Julia's big plan was so close to working. She helped her undead lover Frank murder her husband, and now Frank's wearing his skin. All that's left is to kill her annoying stepdaughter, Kirsty. Frank, doing his best "I'm your dad" impression, lunges at Kirsty with a giant knife, but Kirsty, being quick, dodges. Unfortunately for Julia, she was standing right behind her. Frank's knife sinks directly into her stomach instead. But here's the real stab, folks. Frank, holding his dying girlfriend, leans in close and whispers, "It's nothing personal, baby."
Nothing personal, babe.
He then drains her and tosses her aside. After all that murder, loyalty, and interior redecorating, her big reward was getting "it's nothing personal" by the guy she did it all for. Ouch! The conjoined guards. Meet the night shift security, two identical twin guards. They make the fatal mistake of walking into a room and interrupting Pinhead, who introduces himself with a simple,
I am pain.
The guards are terrified, but their greatest fear is losing each other. Pinhead, being the merciful lord that he is, decides to grant them their wish. They will be together forever. Chains instantly fly out and wrap around both of them, dragging them together.
That will never happen.
Pinhead then uses the drills and pistons to begin a forced corporate merger. Their faces melt into one, killing them and birthing a single two-headed Cenobite.